A new virus targeting cultivators swept across the world. Some people hid in caves for months and dared not to leave. Some people went into the primitive jungle to survive alone. However, under the eerie virus, no cultivator was spared. The demons, with their strong reproductive abilities, suffered relatively little loss and launched a sudden attack while the cultivator world was weakened. As a result, all cultivators in the world were wiped out. 5,000 years later, more and more humans with psychic powers appeared, and the world gradually became a magic world dominated by knights, mages, nuns, and other psychic beings. Due to special reasons, you went into seclusion and slept for 5,000 years, surviving the disaster and becoming the last cultivator in this world. However, you lost most of your memory because of this. On this day, outside the city of Feilua, in the Lost Forest, Catherine, a D-level mage of the Holy Cross sect, led 2 knights to exterminate a first-order monster goblin. Since Catherine's father did not allow her to experience in the sect, she took on the task of the villagers to improve her strength as soon as possible. Suddenly, a melodious singing voice came into their ears. Catherine turned her head and saw a figure approaching. It turned out to be you, who came to take on the same task. The currency used in the trading center of this world is the crystal used for cultivation by the cultivators back then. In order to restore your memory as soon as possible through cultivation, the crystals in your pocket are always not enough, and you have to take on tasks to earn some extra money. The 2 knights saw that you were dressed strangely and did not carry any equipment. Thinking that you were here to gain experience, the other knight decided to test your psychic power and took out a device to detect your forehead. After seeing the results, one of the knights burst into laughter. It turned out that even ordinary people have a psychic power of 5, while your result is 0. You were curious about what psychic power was, but you still managed to kill many monsters without it. Hearing this, the 2 knights pointed at you and laughed even harder. However, Catherine kindly explained to you that for thousands of years, humans have awakened their psychic power to fight against monsters, and as long as they activate their psychic power, they can release powerful energy far beyond human limits. According to the strength of psychic power detected by the detector, humans are also divided into 6 levels. Miss Catherine became a D-rank mage at a young age. Without waiting for them to finish, you turned and walked towards the deep forest. To thank them, you even made an international friendly gesture. Catherine intended to use her abilities as a D-rank mage to protect you from the first-order monsters. Thus, she did not stop you from going deeper. However, at this moment, a fearful scream came, and a man was surrounded by a group of goblins. Everyone quickly went to kill the goblins. The knights easily defeated the goblins with their excellent equipment and physical fitness. With Catherine's chanting, the secret magic of the Steve family, the reverse flow of the waterfall sent many goblins flying into the sky. Soon, many goblins lay dead on the ground. Seeing this, the 2 knights praised Catherine in unison. However, you were speechless when you heard their flattery, and you said that those were just small fries. There are bigger surprises ahead. The atmosphere in the ruined temple ahead was terrifyingly quiet. You walked in front, reminding everyone to be careful. Catherine also had a bad feeling. Only crows caught on the withered tree branches, and the eyes of rats on the broken ground glowed red. As everyone went deeper, a giant goblin with a crown on its head sat on the ruins, wearing a ring with an ancient fox-like design on its neck. The intense battle just now did not awaken the third-order monster, the goblin leader, in front of them. The 3 companions looked at the massive body of the goblin in front of them, sweating profusely. Knight A, to show off in front of Catherine, bravely approached the goblin leader. The withered monster had no breath, like a dead body that had been dead for years. Seeing this, Knight A stretched out his finger and fiercely poked the goblin's knee, but the monster remained still. Just as Knight A thought that he had obtained the body of a high-order monster for free, you suddenly spoke up, warning them to be careful. The goblin's dark eyes suddenly lit up with 2 dazzling red lights. A sharp sword light cut off Knight A's arm, and the intense pain felt like a snake biting through his nerves. He struggled to control his stiff body and turned to look behind him. Thick energy flowed out from the goblin's dark green skin, and a roar mixed with foul saliva sprayed out from its mouth. The 2 first-order knights were instantly shaken, their eyes dull, and they foamed at the mouth. Catherine hurried forward to check on the injuries of the 2 people and specifically warned you not to run around as she would protect you. Looking at the ferocious monster in front of her, Catherine decided to use the strongest magic to determine the outcome. Water spirit, answer my call. Fight evil will in the name of water. Release the power of the gods, she chanted. As Catherine chanted, a huge shark made of water appeared in the void and attacked the goblin leader with towering flames. However, the goblin leader, wearing a crown, dispersed the powerful magic attack with a single palm strike. Seeing this, Catherine had no other choice but to use her last resort, and the green-skinned monster punched her. Catherine quickly used her life-saving skill, Water Barrier, but the enormous power still sent her flying with a punch. The water barrier could not withstand the tremendous force and dissipated into mist. Catherine was severely injured and coughing while holding her chest. With my strength, I can only be played with by 3rd-level monsters, she said. The 2 knights also passed out completely. The monster lifted its giant sword and was about to kill Catherine with 1 strike, but the kind-hearted Catherine was still regretting involving you in the hunt. As the goblin leader swung his sword down, Catherine closed her eyes and waited for death. However, the expected pain did not come. Instead, she saw something incredible. You stood in front of her, holding the giant sword with just 2 fingers, making it immobile. Even when the monster exerted all its strength, the sword held by your 2 fingers remained unmovable, as if it had merged with you. Catherine watched in disbelief as you held a piece of straw in your mouth and asked if she could still move. You advised her to move further away if she could still move, as you were worried that you might accidentally hurt her while attacking. Catherine quickly hid behind a big tree and curiously peeked out to observe. Once Catherine was far enough away, you finally asked the big monster if it had ever done anything wrong. The monster, wearing a crown, was trembling with fear, drenched in sweat from the inexplicable terror emanating from you. Thunderbolts, sharp as blades, gather between your 2 fingers. The sky is densely covered with dark clouds and lightning flashes. A terrifying thunder, carrying the power of heaven and earth, sweeps down. The thick lightning pillar seems like a brilliant bridge connecting heaven and earth. The goblin leader, wearing a pure gold crown, is hit by lightning bolts like a lightning rod. Catherine is shocked, thinking that you are a hidden lightning mage, but she doesn't know that you are using the authentic Cultivate method of heavenly thunder attraction. The mighty third-order demon beast seems to have done many dishonest things. The huge lightning column surprises even you. Your powerful strength reminds Catherine of herself. Her father once said that some strong people hide their mental power in daily life and only maximize their mental power when casting spells, in order to create high damage in a short time. In the dark and lost forest, you find the Cultivate method of heavenly thunder attraction from your fragmented memory. The dark clouds gather for you. The world is at your command. Thunder roars for you. The world trembles for you. Lightning slays the enemies in front of you, but darkness still shrouds your figure, which is incompatible with this world. The morning sunlight breaks through the darkness. 2 knights wake up from their unconsciousness, unbelievably looking at the huge corpse in front of them. Catherine tells them about your powerful ability last night. The thunderbolt, carrying the power of heaven and earth, not only saved everyone's lives, but also ignited her admiration for you. The 2 knights thank you for saving their lives and supporting each other towards you, who are cultivating. As the savior of everyone present, you have the right to distribute all the spoils of this action. You fully learn and play the I want everything strategic spirit. The knights pitifully say that they were also busy all night, and one of them had his arm cut off by the goblin leader. Understanding their situation, you generously give each of them a piece of goblin nail. They remain silent while holding their spoils, but you say that you already made up for their losses by applying high-quality elixirs that you made by yourself. After distributing the spoils fairly and impartially, you officially say goodbye to them and return to the town. Catherine is full of worries as she watches your heavy back, afraid you're not killed by goblins, but crushed by tons of loot. Knight B was still complaining, surprised that all the valuable things were packed up and taken away, but was shushed by Knight A next to him. It turned out that the goblin leader was a monster that the Hunter Association had offered a high reward for. All they needed to do was bring back the body and collect the bounty. However, what he didn't know was that as a cultivator with exceptionally sharp senses, he had heard every word of their conversation. A flash of righteous starlight appeared in your eyes as you took all the materials to the Hunter Association office in Fyro City and handed them over to the staff for inventory. The total value was 1,300 spirit stones, with the goblin leader's body alone worth 1,000 spirit stones. Although these spirit stones were of low grade, having a large quantity of them would still be beneficial for your cultivation. Looking at the 2 knights in front of you with sad faces, you generously tossed them 30 spirit stones and told them to go back and rest, before turning around and leaving with your heavy load of spirit stones. Catherine hurriedly came forward and grabbed your hand to stop you. You turned back somewhat impatiently, but she shyly placed her hand on her chest, and 2 red blushes appeared on her cheeks. It turned out that she wanted to ask your name for future contact. Fortunately, she didn't ask for spirit stones, and you readily told her your name. My name is Zhong Tianchuan. In a hotel in Fyro City, you finished a day of practice. The gentle spring water massages your tired nerves, while the necklace that resisted the heavenly thunder without a scratch piques your curiosity. In this magic world dominated by psychics, she stubbornly emanates the faint power of the Cultivate stage. After fruitless research, you lean back and doze off by the hot spring. However, under the bright moonlight, the fox-shaped jade pendant twinkles with a faint light. Suddenly, the light becomes brighter, and the fox-shaped jade pendant seems to come alive, with a blue-haired, pointed-eared head slowly rising from the water. Soon, a graceful figure with a fox tail appears before you, a fox demon with a fox-like face that reveals a delicate beauty. It has been 5,000 years, and she has finally seen the light of day again. Thick spiritual energy overflows from your sleeping body, which has not had any spiritual energy for 5,000 years. The nourished fox demon is like a hungry hyena, unable to resist the delicious taste of your abundant spiritual energy, and involuntarily leans forward to lie in front of you. Your rich spiritual energy is her most delicious food. She swallows saliva, throwing all morals and reason out of her mind, and then closes her eyes and leans forward, her warm lips sealing yours. The wonderful sensation, wet and soft lubrication, and the continuous flow of spiritual energy from your lips into her body all make the fox demon intoxicated and confused. You are awakened by the passing spiritual energy and the warm sensation, and the fox demon, who has regained her ability to think think due to the replenishment of spiritual energy, quickly steps back with a blushing face. You awaken me, so you have to take responsibility, she says with a coquettish shoulder and a pink cheek, showing off her charm to the fullest. After thinking for a moment, you guess that she is the spirit of the carved fox jade pendant. The fox demon, however, is enchanted by your 8-pack abs, and her entire rationality was just occupied by her desire. She only cared about replenishing the spiritual energy lost for 5,000 years, but she didn't expect you to be so attractive in appearance and physique. A pink smoke sprays out from her mouth, apparently trying to test your strength. You remain calm as you watch the pink smoke drift towards you, thinking that this little fox is quite playful. As the fox demon's illusion is cast, 2 graceful figures appear before you. One woman has a bold and sexy posture, like a ripe peach, with a charming figure that hooks people's hearts and souls. The other woman has her hands crossed, charming and innocent, like a green apple, with a sour and sweet taste that is quite unique. The bold woman comes up and embraces your arm. Let yourself feel her soft body temperature carefully. The young girl blushed and leaned towards you, offering to give you a shoulder and back massage to help you fully relax. Meanwhile, the fox spirit stood alone with a worried expression, waiting for the test results. If you are unable to resist her charming skills, she will choose to go back to sleep and wait for another opportunity. However, even under the 2 girls' intense attacks, your mind remains clear and you show no interest in the female characters of the fox illusion. As you wonder about the feeling of unrestricted freedom, a dazzling and hot light blinds the fox spirit's eyes. As a spirit vessel, she cannot break through the boundaries on her own without the assistance of her master's spiritual power. In this world full of magic, without spiritual nourishment, she will soon fall. Therefore, upon her recent awakening, she will do anything to absorb your spiritual power, including using her seductive skills to test your strength. According to Bai Qing's knowledge, there should be no more cultivators in this world full of magic. But how did you manage to appear here after thousands of years, and you can't even remember your past? Bai Qing consoles you by patting her chest and tells you not to be upset because lost memories will eventually come back. Sensing the powerful spiritual energy within you, Bai Qing immediately asks to follow you, saying she possesses super sensing abilities that can detect the aura of ancient artifacts in this world surrounded by magic. You happily agree to her request, and in this world that feels so unfamiliar to you, her aura makes you feel somewhat familiar. However, your quick response surprises Bai Qing, because in this world surrounded by magic, the spiritual energy cannot be absorbed from the air, making it a treasure that cultivators should cherish. Yet she must absorb your spiritual power to cultivate. Since you are generous enough, she offers to exchange her body for your spiritual power if you need it, but you tell her it is not necessary, as the amount of spiritual power she absorbs from you is no burden to you. Moreover, she can even help you find ancient artifacts in a square in Pharaoh City. Bai Qing obediently followed you and curiously asked for your name, and your name seemed to make her feel inexplicably familiar, as if she had heard it somewhere before. Suddenly, Bai Qing sensed an extremely powerful aura coming from the noisy crowd ahead, and she discovered the aura of an ancient artifact that was extremely powerful and far away. It was a rusty long sword stuck in a stone. From what she overheard from others, she learned that this sword was the sword of the brave, left over from ancient times, which countless people had tried in vain to pull out by any means possible. But you were staring blankly at the sword, lost in memories. 5,000 years ago, the Lord of the Sword Valley appeared before you with their most treasured sword. This sword is the ultimate sword, and if it encounter a worthy master, it can even transform into the blue dragon sword spirit to protect them. No one in the world besides you has ever wielded this sword, yet after the battle between immortals and demons, this sword fell into your possession. Then you remembered the name of this sword. You had called it the Traveling Dragon. As you were about to approach and pull out the sword, guards on both sides held you back with their swords. It turned out that not everyone was qualified to try to pull out the sword. To attempt to pull out the sword, you must first pass the brave trial recommended by the 4 major clans. But you paid no attention and wanted to directly snatch the sword. Conflict was about to break out when a familiar voice came. It turned out to be Catherine, who had done missions with you before. She shyly offered to write a letter of recommendation for you to participate in the brave trial if you wanted to try to pull out the sword. Bai Qing felt threatened by Catherine's coy demeanor and her similar clothing and appearance to you. Catherine also couldn't help but have various thoughts when she looked at Bai Qing. At the brave trial field of the Ghost Valley, a woman's voice began to read out the rules of the trial. This trial required participants to go deep into the Ghost Valley and retrieve 3 magic cores that the church had placed in advance. Those who returned with the cores before noon the next day would pass the trial. With the host priestess's shout, the trial officially began. As the eager crowd arrived at the entrance of the Ghost Valley, they found several branching paths. You picked up a stick from the ground and said that wherever the stick pointed, that would be the entrance you would take. Outside the rest camp at this moment, Priest Mel from the Holy Cross Order B class curiously asked why Catherine recommended an ordinary person with 0 psychokinesis to participate in the trial. But Catherine, with an adoring expression, told her that her true strength was unfathomable, and as long as she wanted to participate in the trial, she would fully support her because she was the most reliable person she had ever met in her life. As the tree branches arrows fell. The pointed direction was the most dangerous-looking path full of ominous magic in the Ghost Valley. Bai Qing had a feeling that something terrible was present here, and the evil aura oppressed her chest, making her breathe heavily. Suddenly, there were ghostly screams, and she saw a woman floating in the mist ahead with her back to her, and a sinister aura permeated her tattered dress. Bai Qing was so frightened that she held onto your arm tightly, but you calmly walked towards the figure. Seeing her as a lost girl, you put your hand on her slippery shoulder, but when she turned around, she had a terrifying face and begged for likes and followers. Manga explained. The thing you hated the most in your life was the backstabber, so you punched her face, and she fell to the ground and couldn't get up. Bai Qing was starting to regret choosing this path with you, but you thought the female ghost was not bad, and asked her to help you take off the ghost's clothes. Bai Qing looked at the well-endowed female ghost and couldn't believe your fetish, wondering if you were trying to take advantage of her. Since her didn't make a move, you had to do it herself. Although the clothes were damaged, they were still silk and could be sold for a good price. On this day, countless female ghosts in the Ghost Valley let out a desperate wail, and everywhere you went, the female ghosts disappeared without a trace after you collected your spoils. Hoping to encounter more female ghosts, you and Bai Qing continued forward and soon found the second victim floating in the air. Just as the female ghost was about to turn around and scare you, a terrifying face with a tongue sticking out appeared in her eyes. The female ghost never thought that she, who always frightened others, would be scared and shivering on the ground today. And as you watched the fallen female ghost and revealed an evil smile, that night became a nightmare for all the female ghosts in the Ghost Valley. Wherever you and Bai Qing went, the female ghosts were left with nothing. You hummed a song along the way, feeling relaxed and happy. Bai Qing looked at your back with mixed feelings. Ever since she followed you, a strong sense of security filled her heart at all times. Before long, you encountered another female ghost floating in the air. This female ghost was different from the previous ones. She was a third-tier female ghost in a green maid outfit. "You guys are too skinny to fill my belly," she said, looking at your group. As you looked at her perfectly intact silk maid outfit, your eyes shone. The third-tier female ghost smiled meaningfully at you, feeling a chill run down her spine. Her pupils shrank as she asked you what you wanted with her. You calmly asked her if she would take off her clothes herself or if you should do it for her. Upon hearing this, the third-tier female ghost became furious. How dare a tiny human like you tease her like this? Pink magical circles appeared behind her, and she commanded them to tear you and Bai Qing apart. With her words, countless blood-red bats flew out of the circles. You raised your right hand, and the crackling sound of thunder echoed in your hand. A ghostly blue foxfire brushed past you from behind, incinerating the bats in an instant. The third-tier female ghost touched her nose, not paying attention to Bai Qing controlling the foxfire. She praised Bai Qing for doing a great job, and then you lunged at the female ghost. Your clawed hand missed as the female ghost dodged and retreated. She didn't expect you to be a pervert who would even attack ghosts, and she cursed at you, sweating profusely. However, you were quick to defend yourself, explaining that you were only worried about damaging her clothes during the fight. You then demonstrated your lightning-fast hand movements, which even made Bai Qing's eyes twitch in disbelief. The third-level female ghost had no chance to fight back under your invincible flower-picking hand. It was just a moment. A complete set of expensive-made costume made of pure silk completely left its owner, and the arrogant third-level female ghost from a moment ago had disappeared without a trace. Only a magic core was left in the air, flickering with light. Bai Qing suggested that since you had obtained the magic core, you could go back and draw your sword. However, you said there was no rush. If the monsters in this Ghost Valley ran out, they would certainly pose a great danger. Today, you were going to uphold justice and eliminate them all. As you spoke, you couldn't help but reveal a kind smile. However, the other side of the battlefield was not so easy. Carl, a sea-level assassin from the Onassis family, had vowed before the trial began to make a name for himself in Pharaoh City through this trial. Meyer, a sea-level knight from the DuPont family, had earned Carl's enmity because he stole the limelight from Carl before the trial. Carl was plotting to completely eliminate him in this trial. At the same time, Catherine had specifically instructed you that Carl was a vicious and ruthless person, and you should never engage him in a direct confrontation. Despite having zero psychic powers, you were completely ignored by them. Just as you easily obtained the trial magic core, Meyer, who had exerted tremendous effort, finally obtained the magic core. When he looked at the shining magic core with satisfaction, a crisis quietly descended upon him. When he turned his head, he saw his archenemy Carl had followed him. The two had been fighting for years, and this tracking must have had a purpose. When Meyer learned that Carl had also obtained the trial magic core, he became even more vigilant. At this point, Carl showed no intention of concealing his malicious smile. Just as Meyer was about to make the first move, Carl blocked him with a dagger in his outstretched arm. The collision of the two weapons instantly produced sparks. In the dark Phantom Valley, the two figures were as fast as lightning, invisible to the naked eye. Only countless sparks in the air resembled blooming fireworks. The two geniuses of the same generation fought hundreds of rounds, but neither could defeat the other. At this moment, a hidden arrow shot out from the darkness. Meyer, who was focused on Carl, was instantly hit in the neck. With the strong vitality of a knight, there was still a chance to turn the arrow back, but the arrow was poisoned. The attacker was Johann, a D-level assassin from the Walton family, who had had teamed up with Carl to secretly attack and obtain the magic core. A sharp, cold dagger easily reached Meyer's neck, and the blood on the cold dagger announced the fall of a young genius. Carl was still not satisfied, stomping on Meyer's body repeatedly. Johann reminded Carl that according to their agreement, the magic core on Meyer's body should belong to him, but Meyer was already dead. Carl did not care about Johann, who was so small in his eyes. The one who sows the wind shall reap the whirlwind. Johann should have thought of what would happen after the success of their plan. Suddenly, a strong wave of energy came. Carl was out of breath just from feeling the aura of a high-level monster from thousands of miles away. In the rest camp outside the Phantom Valley, Catherine and Mel, a B-level priest, were also alarmed by the aura of the high-level monster. Mel could clearly sense that this was not a monster arranged for the trial, but rather the aura of a fourth level or even higher monster. The trial must also be terminated in advance, and Catherine clenched her fists tightly, holding her chest and silently praying for you. A terrifying monster's aura swept over the entire trial field. The B-level nun of the Holy Cross Church, Mel, quickly called to stop the trial. Just a few minutes ago, a monster with bat wings appeared in front of you. It was a fourth-level monster, gargoyle, with magic all over its body. The fox demon, Bai Ching, suggested that you should leave quickly before it finds you, but you stubbornly believe that it is the duty of us cultivators to eliminate demons and defend the way. And how can we escape without fighting? Just as the monster was confused as to why an ordinary person with zero psychic power like you did not run away upon seeing it, you stared fixedly at the huge sparkling gem on its forehead. What nonsense are you talking about? Who runs away when they see money? The strange words confused the monster, but you flew towards it regardless and landed a slap that sent it flying 800 meters away. The huge inertia caused the monster to break through the trees, creating a large ditch on the ground with rising blue smoke due to the friction with the hot ground. I know now. He must have known that his psychic power talent is insufficient, so he found another way to develop his body to the extreme, which is why he can strike such a heavy blow. And now you are also curious as to why he didn't faint after taking a slap. Thinking that you had exposed your flaw, the gargoyle regained confidence, and its body petrified like an oak tree while its hands folded in front of its chest to activate absolute defense. No matter how tyrannical the fist, it would shatter upon striking its reinforced body. However, your ruthless iron fist shattered his newly established confidence once again, just a punch that caused his nasal bone to collapse and his mouth to bleed. Why is this person different from the one we met before? With a loud boom, the gargoyle was sent flying 100 meters away, and the ground was littered with rocks and dirt. At this point, Bai Ching caught up and asked about your condition. This guy's head is really hard. My hands are a little numb. Hearing this, the fox demon, Bai Ching, who was carrying a package, also let go of her worries. However, things may not be that simple. The dark forest was filled with increasingly dense magic, and suddenly the magic around quickly gathered towards the place where the gargoyle fell. The man who took 2 big slaps stood up again, and the eerie green energy filled his entire body like blood vessels. Good. I'm angry now. You can't bear the consequences of angering me. Die. As he spoke, countless dark magic burst out of the gargoyle's body. Bai Ching and you, who are not far apart, were instantly shrouded by magic. Black spots, like stones, quickly spread over your body. His magic in the state of frenzy not only has the effect of intimidating and driving away enemies, but it can also inflict a poison state on them. It won't be long before everything in this valley will be infected by the toxins in his magic. As you looked at the fox demon Bai Ching with concern, you extended your hand and threw out a light sphere. A screen-emitting golden light quickly enveloped Bai Ching. This is my protective golden bead. With it, you can isolate the poisonous gas and ensure your safety. Why not use such a magical tool for yourself? What will you do if you give it to me? And as the last straight male in the past 5,000 years, you said that the package in her arms was contaminated with toxins and couldn't be sold. Hearing this, Bai Ching's hot heart was suddenly poured with cold water. But you were still thinking in your heart that you only need one move to kill this monster, and then use the purifying spell to remove the toxins from your body. Thinking this, you raised your hand and drew in the air. The stone statue thought you had gone mad from the poisoning, but Bai Ching heard from the spell that it was the treasure of the ancient Shantian sect. Rumor has it that the law of 5 thunders can summon lightning and pray for rain to clear up. Majestic power shrouds the sky. Listen to my command. I dwell to the south of the Big Dipper and to the right of the 7 stars. Those who obey me will live. Those who defy me will die. The mysterious thunder of the 9 heavens urges as a command. With the formation of the runes in the air, a pure and condensed light sphere, compressing countless powers, gathered at your fingertips. The stone statue sneered. What can such a small magic ball do? He raised his trident, and countless magic gathered, forming a huge dark magic ball. Then, with a stomp of his right foot, he pointed the trident at the huge dark magic ball, and your light sphere seemed like a toy in front of it. However, you smiled and pointed your finger, and a ball of light compressed with countless powers easily shattered and pierced through the magic ball. It floated lightly, but was unstoppable as it collided with the stone statue. The master had ordered that she couldn't be disturbed, and my mission was not yet complete. Then, beams of light like stars burst forth and illuminated the depths of the Ghost Valley. The world was plunged into a terrifying silence, shrouded in dazzling white light. The small light ball contained infinite power from heaven and earth, causing even the distant resting camp to tremble as if it were the end of the world. Mel looked at the terrifying explosion, sweating profusely, thinking that it was the appearance of a king of monsters beyond the 5th rank. At this point, they had no choice but to request support from an S rank or above psychic from the Holy Cross Church. That night, the depths of the Ghost Valley were leveled by your attack. The dense hill jungles turned to ashes under the violent energy. The stone statue that had just been showing off now lay motionless, its burnt body crackling with the remnants of lightning. You looked at the stone statue's corpse and felt remorseful. The body of a high-level monster was valuable, but now it was unlikely to sell for much as it had been burned to charcoal. However, luckily, you had saved the valuable magic cord during the explosion. At this time, the fox demon Bai Qing hurried over and asked about the severe poison on your body. You sat cross-legged and told her that you could eliminate the poison by meditating for a moment, but Bai Qing blushed and told you that it wasn't necessary as she could handle the poison. You were curious how she would handle the poison on your body, but suddenly, Bai Qing blushed and threw herself at you, hugging your neck and kissing your lips with her cherry-like mouth. You felt something pressing against your chest and couldn't breathe, but the touch of her lips was soft and warm like silky tofu. The poison in your body also rushed towards her mouth like a floodgate. In no time, the poison was completely sucked out by her. Just as you closed your eyes and immersed yourself in this wonderful sensation, Bai Qing sat up and said that she had finally finished. Her blushing and satisfied expression was like a field that had been waiting for rain. As your spirit guardian, she thought that you had given her the protective golden light and suffered from severe poison yourself. Now, it was her turn to share some of the pain with you, and as long as she had the nourishment of your spiritual power, the poison in her body would soon dissipate. Due to the lightning magic just now, the fox spirit Bai Qing was reminded of Shantian's sect and asked you if you could recall anything. However, you had no impression of Shantian's sect in your mind. Everyone was waiting in anticipation at the exit of the Ghost Valley, waiting for the appearance of the terrifying demon, but the support from the Holy Cross sect had not yet arrived. No matter what, you had to guard this exit. The memory of the terrifying explosion last night still made everyone tremble with fear, but even so, they couldn't let that monster come out and wreak havoc in Pharaoh City. Under the morning sun, a strange figure walked towards the thick smoke and dust, and Mel shouted to prepare for battle. However, when the smoke cleared, everyone was stunned to see that you were holding the monster's body with your left hand and the monster's weapon with your right hand, appearing in front of everyone. After your and Bai Qing's efforts overnight, the entire Ghost Valley had been looted of its monsters. The silence was palpable in the air as everyone looked at the two of you. The body still had the aura of a 4th order monster, but what happened during the terrifying explosion last night? Could it be that the person in front of them had been hiding their true strength? Catherine looked at you, who had returned safely, and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Carl, on the other hand, believed that something must have happened in the Ghost Valley that allowed you to take advantage of it. You threw the petrified monster's body on the ground and asked if there was a hunters association here to see how much it was worth. There was also Bai Qing's huge package containing valuable items from all the monsters in the Ghost Valley. Mel never expected that the two of you were so powerful that you could sweep through the entire Ghost Valley.